What's going on, football fans? It's time once again for another rendition of the Pound for Pound. I'm your host, J.R. Clark, and today we're going to be talking about the second preseason game. In the second preseason game, our Atlanta Falcons are going to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers up there in Heinz Field. This is another preseason game. It's nothing, super important, but in a way it is super important. You get yet another look at some of the guys who are fighting for the lower tier roster spots, whether it be, hey, get to keep on the practice squad or, cut outright or even possibly make the 53-man. So in this particular video, I'm going to try to give you some things to watch out for, things to look for, and things that I'm excited about. First of all, get some kind of news out of the way. Julio Jones is not going to play in this one, which is fine. I mean, you can wrap the dude up in bubble wrap and just roll him out week one, and I'd be okay with that. I mean, he's been playing solely with Matt Ryan his entire career, so not necessarily worried about the timing of things. Maybe on a few plays, I'd like to see him by at least the third preseason game, but I'm not necessarily concerned about it. Devontae's out in this game. Y'all probably already know that by now. He's been ruled out with concussion-like symptoms. He's in the concussion protocol. He hasn't practiced at all this week. So they ruled him out earlier in the week. And that's fine too. I mean, he's back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. Again, very comfortable in this scheme, in this system. Don't necessarily need him getting any worse than, taking a chance and something turning major, So go ahead and rest him. Make sure he's good for week one. Don't necessarily need to see him in the preseason. You saw all you needed to last week, with the hard running. The contract hasn't changed that, so that's what you wanted to see. Plus, this gives an opportunity for, guys such as Teron Ward and our boy Brian Hill to try to make a better impression than he did week one. So maybe he'll actually get some reps behind the number one offensive line and see if that makes an improvement on his running ability, because he didn't really show too good last week, even to the point where Dan Quinn made a comment on it, and all of Dan Quinn's time being here, I haven't heard him make anything that even sounded like a negative comment towards the player. But talking about how our style is a one cut and go. We didn't need to be stuttering in the backfield. I don't know if he necessarily called out Brian Hill. I can't rightly remember, but that's who he was talking about, and that speaks volumes. So, Brian Hill really needs to step his game up in this game, especially with Devontae, being out and not taking those reps. So it gives him a chance to show that he was, worth that 5th round draft pick, and bare minimum worth, keeping on the roster or at least the practice squad. We signed some other running backs, some Jarrell Presley. I guess he played for the Vikings, practice squad type guy. I believe just a camp body to soak up some reps in the fourth quarter of this game. I don't necessarily expect a ton out of him, but the interesting note that came out earlier today was we signed offensive lineman Austin Pastor from the Cleveland Browns. 26-year-old, 6'3", 305-pound offensive lineman. He was high on a lot of people's, off-season free agent list. But apparently he was injured and people were waiting on him to get healthy. So he got healthy and signed a one-year deal with us to potentially be a swing tackle, maybe even fight for the guard spot. And I've seen some people floating out that, at least in the PFF rankings, that he graded out just as good as Jake Matthews as a tackle. So that's kind of interesting. I'm not saying he's coming in to take Jake Matthews' spot, but you never know. I mean, yeah, Matthews is a first-round pick, but it's not like he's got, not like he was picked by Dan Quinn, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's something interesting to keep an eye on. I'm glad to see the Falcons picking up a a young, he's only 26 years old, young offensive lineman to potentially fill that swing tackle spot that actually has some starting experience. He started all 16 games for the Browns last year, so that's a plus right there to me. Especially if all it is just a swing tackle. That's a real plus for a swing tackle. But maybe it's something that could grow into something more. You never know. As far as it goes, I'm being interested to see how our offensive line stands up to Pittsburgh. You get a real kind of close look at T.J. Watt, who we was all excited for in the off season. We took Takk McKinley instead. Ooh, speaking of Takk McKinley, it looks like a good chance that he's going to play. So we get our first real good live look at how Takk looks. Don't know exactly. I don't know if he'll come in while their ones are on the field or if he'll just come in after the half or whatever. But sounds like they're going to start working him into the mix, which is good. It's what you want to see. That's a little faster than we were initially led to believe. I think Dimitroff had come out and said they hope to have have him ready by the third preseason game. So this is ahead of schedule on that. So it'd be real good to see our first round pick in action. That should be the highlight of this preseason game if he does get on the field. Finally get to see what he looks like. But all in all, it's pretty much a continued fight at right guard between Schweitzer and Ben Garland. It's how does Brian Hill look? Does he get to actually take some reps behind our first team offensive line? How does our backup offensive line look? Because they didn't look great last week. I mean, they weren't like atrocious, but they weren't definitely opening holes. So these are important things. If we have somebody go down, these are the guys that have to step up. So it's important to see growth in them. You don't necessarily need them to be superstars, but you need to see, improvement from last week. And then does Marvin Hall and Reggie Davis continue to make claims for that sixth wide receiver spot? Potentially behind Andre Roberts, for either punts or, do they get to stake their claim on this roster? That's the things that you're looking for in this game. At least that's the things I'm looking for in this game. So not so much caring about wins or losses, as long as when our first team goes out that they're up, that's all I really care about. That's what I got for you today. That's that preview of the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday. Kickoffs at 4 p.m. It'll be on the C.W. Matthews. You can listen to it on 92.9 The Game. And if you're out of market, you can watch it on the NFL Game Pass. And if y'all noticed last week, me and Toby did a live stream on Sunday. We were just kind of trying to test it out and see how it worked. I think we're going to try to do a live stream this Sunday after the game, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, something of that nature. So if you enjoyed that last week, keep your eyes peeled this week. As always, keep your eyes peeled on the channel. Like, share, comment. We love and enjoy, interacting with y'all. So, keep that stuff up, and we'll catch you later.